Cafe Networking Podcast promotes successful business experts. I'm Tom Rioch, known as the King of Networking, connecting people throughout the world from my podcast studio in Brazil. Joining us today from Easton, Pennsylvania, Mathew Pezon. He's the CEO of Pezon Properties, a team of local Pennsylvania buy and hold experts who purchase and improve rental properties in the Lehigh Valley. They now own over 200 rental units without any investors or partners. So Mathew, what are the most important financial metrics for business owners to know about their business?
Tom, thanks so much for having me. And when it comes to financial metrics, these are the keys to understanding what's the performance of the business. Are things trending in the right direction or the wrong direction? And so the metrics that I look at, it's my return on investment, my ROI, my return on equity, my ROE, and my IRR, my internal rate of return. And those are the three things that I look at to evaluate a financial decision for rental properties. That's the business that I'm in. And so when I'm looking at the ROI, I'm saying, okay, well, how much cash do I need to put out to purchase a property or invest in any business? What's the startup capital?
Right.
And then what I'm getting back on that capital within a year, let's say. So what's my return on investment within that year? Now, once the business and that's also known as cash on cash return in real estate investing speak, but it basically comes down to within a year, what's my return on investment for this outlay of cash? Now, taking a medium term approach, let's say, what's my return on equity? And that means what's my equity? What's the equity in the business? There's all different types of assets. Equity is it's the total value of all the assets minus the total value of all the liabilities. So what is the equity for my business? For a rental property, it's what's the appraised value minus the debt. And that's what's left. That's the equity. So if I have significant equity in a property or significant equity in a brand or significant equity in a business, what is all the income that's coming into the business?
Right.
And what is that income divided by the total value of the equity in that business? And that's called the return on equity. And so that's another metric that I look at. So very simply, if there's $100,000 of equity in a property, it's worth $200,000. I have a $100,000 loan. 200 minus 100 is 100. So if I'm making $5,000 of cash flow annually after all of my expenses, that's a $5,000 divided by $100,000. That is a 5% return on equity. And that's quite for what's possible with leverage in real estate. Each business sector is different. So that's return on equity.
Now what you're doing
And
is
then
in the business that you're in, you're looking at properties and you're buying them, and using the term that's used, you're flipping them, right? So you're appraising a value, probably have to do some sort of renovation, some type of maintenance, and then put it back on the market, right?
Most of the times I actually hold them as rentals longer term, but I do flip some properties occasionally.
But even putting back at rental, you have the time factor of getting it ready to rent and finding people to come in the door and then wanting to rent. So there's that lag of, let's say, the maintenance time, because once you get into a building and you've appraised it, obviously your persons are professional in understanding what's there. But in anything, once you get in and try to renovate, then you see what's really there. And,
that's right.
And then that could become a challenge, right?
Well, that's right. And that's why it's important to understand how much equity there is in the property and then what's the income on that equity, because if there's a lot of equity, it might make more sense to sell the property and use the proceeds to buy more.
Right. And in your case, you mentioned reappraisals. Do you do the appraisals? Or who does the appraisals for you?
Right. So the lenders, the banks require them just to put a value on the asset, and then we'll use those numbers to run our financial.
And I said, well, you're in the Lehigh Valley, and I saw on your site you have a pretty extensive number of counties that you're involved in. So are you constantly expanding?
We generally work in Eastern Pennsylvania only, so we're not expanding too much. It's from Philadelphia to the Wyoming Valley and out to the Susquehanna River. So anything in Eastern Pennsylvania.
But Eastern Pennsylvania's a pretty chunk of real estate.
It is. That's right. It's all within about 1 hour from where I live, so it's quite connected. I live quite centrally to all those locations.
And so this is you have a whole group, and so you're involved in this. And so the rental, and we've been saying, it seems to be younger persons are more interested in renting than buying. Is that a trend?
It is. I think that there's a lot of millennials that are struggling to afford housing, and so they tend to end up renting, and even some Gen. So it is a trend, but millennials are at peak home buying stages of their lives right now, but there's just limited inventory. So a lot of millennials end up renting.
Well, who are the people? What's your focus for the rentals?
Typically long-term residents and families that will stay in either apartments or houses for 3 to 5 years.
Oh, so that's a good range of time. So it's not come and go. You're not turning them in a year, or they're not students.
That's right. Oh no, I'm not interested in short-term rentals.
Very well. How'd you get involved in this?
I went to business school. I did a Fulbright scholarship, and I understood in business school the power of debt and the power of the rental model. And so I had spent 5 years getting out of debt. First thing that I did after going to business school is get back into debt. And now I never want to be debt free. I never want to pay off my loans. I want the tenants to pay them off and let those loans get paid down by others, not by me.
Oh, that's good because, real estate is a market here in Brazil and worldwide. The more you understand, most people don't understand it because most people either have their own house or they're in a dwelling. But to look at this from the point of view of being a business, and then in your case of being an owner of properties, buying, holding, and renting, that really does become a business.
Oh, it has to be a business because it's if not treated like a business, it can become a problem.
Yeah, because most people, like here in Brazil, their view is they'll use an intermediary, and that person is just helping the operation of the buy and the sell. It's the realtor. So you're
Right.
actually looking to develop that, and then you want your asset, and you want to develop your equity.
Well, that's right. And we don't work through realtors generally. We go directly to the seller. And that's how we purchase properties. And we typically purchase either distressed properties. So those blighted properties that when you're driving around town that you see and, oh man, someone should do something with that.
Right.
I'm the guy that fixes that property. So
You're the someone. You're the someone.
yeah, I'm the someone, right. I'm the someone. So the blight is fixed by me, and it's not easy. It takes a lot of energy and problem solving skills. And then we also remedy personal situations. If someone inherited a property or they're behind on their taxes, behind on their mortgage, we
Right.
fix those situations for people. So it's either properties that we fix or personnel issues that we fix.
Very good. Well, congratulations on what you're doing and how you do it.
Thank you. So
How can our
like I
listeners
said,
find you, Mathew?
Sure. They can find me at pezonproperties.com. We love to connect. And if anyone is a bridge lender, we'll have a discussion and talk about how folks can fund these renovations.
Very good. So thanks again for being here.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
And for our listeners, it's Mathew Pezon. It's Mathew. The last name is Pezon. And you'll find him on pezonproperties.com. Cafe Networking is brought to us by Focus MI Market Intelligence, an agricultural market research specialist in Brazil. More information at focusmi.com. Talk to Tom, talk to the world. Thanks for listening. Till the next time here at Cafe and Networking Podcast.